I didn't really feel a high stick or anything, but I looked at it. His stick is up. It's a call. It's a judgment call. And
at 73, I understand admiration in a way I never did when I was a young defenseman fighting through the grind of an NHL season. Back then, I thought respect was something you earned from teammates, coaches, or fans. Today, I know it comes from something much deeper. It comes from the men who forced you to grow. The ones who attacked your weaknesses, who never let you relax, who made you rethink every habit you relied on. Those are the players I carry with me. People remember the Montreal Canadiens dynasty, the banners, the noise inside the forum, and the pressure that followed us every single night. But admiration is not born from winning. Winning fades. Admiration comes from being challenged. It comes from facing a skater who reads your intentions as quickly as you read his, a center who is strong enough to push you off your line, a winger who never stops moving his feet, a defenseman who matches your discipline stride for stride. Those are the moments that shape me far more than any championship ring. When I look back, I do not think about celebrations. I think about the 5 players who forced me to elevate my game. They were not teammates. They were not friendly matchups. They were problems I had to solve every night. And solving them made me better than any coaching system ever could. Before I count down those 5 names, you need to understand how I was shaped as a defenseman. I played the game with a simple foundation. I was tall and strong, but size alone never won shifts. What mattered was positioning, patience, and a calm mind when the ice opened up in front of you. I learned early that a great defenseman is not the loudest player on the ice. He is the one who makes the right decision at the right moment without drawing attention to himself. That became my identity through the Montreal years. I admired players who forced me to stay disciplined. If I leaned too far, they punished the opening. If I slowed my feet, they took the extra step. If I hesitated, they found the lane. Those challenges, repeated over thousands of shifts, built my career far more than any award or milestone. And that is why these 5 names stayed with me my entire life. Number 5, Stan Mikita, intelligence. When people talk about the great forwards I faced, they usually mention the big bodies or the heavy shooters. But the player who forced me to think every single shift was Stan Mikita. He was not the biggest man on the ice, yet he controlled the pace better than almost anyone I ever went up against. Chicago had many weapons, but Mikita was the brain that tied everything together. I said it many times in interviews that Mikita changed the way I approached defense. Early in my career, I relied on size and reach. Then I met Mikita and realized none of that mattered if the man in front of you could see the game 2 steps ahead. He would glide into a quiet area, force you to follow him, then turn the play into something completely different. If you chased him, he made you look foolish. If you hesitated, he fed the puck to someone in full stride. There was never a safe choice. He also carried a story that shaped the NHL itself. He went from being one of the most penalized players in the league to one of the cleanest and most respected. That transformation was not accidental. It came from a mind that processed the game at a speed very few players could match. You could feel that intelligence every time he touched the puck. He never wasted movement. He never panicked. He never gave you the mistake you were hoping for. What made him so challenging for me was how well he used angles. When I tried to push him wide, he shifted the puck inside. When I gave him an inch to protect against a pass, he ripped a shot through a screen. He forced me to hold my position longer and trust my timing. If I reached too soon, he slipped by me. If I backed off too much, he dictated the next decision. Defending him was like playing a long game of chess with no margin for error. I admired Mikita because he made the game honest. You could not hide behind strength or confidence. You had to solve him shift by shift. Every play he created taught me something about patience and discipline. Facing him showed me that hockey at the highest level is played in the mind long before the puck even drops. That is why his name stands on my list. He sharpened my instincts. He forced me to become a smarter defenseman. And every time I think back on those battles with Chicago, I remember how much he made me grow. Number 4, Phil Esposito. Pressure. When I think about pure pressure in front of the net, the first name that comes to mind is Phil Esposito. Boston built an entire offensive identity around his presence. And every defenseman in our era had to deal with the same reality. If Esposito planted himself at the top of the crease, the game changed instantly. Space disappeared. Timing disappeared. Rhythm disappeared. You were no longer defending a system. You were defending a force. I said it throughout my career that Esposito could score from situations that looked harmless. A loose puck off a skate, a rebound that bounced the wrong way, a pass that arrived half a second late. If he was in the area, the puck seemed to find him like metal to a magnet. You could control the entire play for 20 seconds and still lose the battle because he understood chaos better than anyone I ever saw. The challenge with Esposito was not just physical, it was mental. He wore you down by repetition. Shift after shift, he would drive to the same pockets of ice. He never drifted away from his identity. He never stopped taking away your eyes from the puck. When a player commits to their plan with that much confidence, you start to feel the weight of every small mistake. A single misstep could turn into a goal. A single hesitation could turn into a screen. A single loss of positioning could put the puck behind your goaltender. I had to adjust my entire approach because of him. Normally, I like to use my reach to keep a forward from turning and gaining leverage. With Esposito, that was never enough. He knew how to anchor his skates, lean his body into you, and create a pocket of separation even when there was no room. If I tried to move him, I spent too much energy. If I tried to outmuscle him, he absorbed it and stayed planted. The key was precision. You had to anticipate his stick, not his body. You had to fight for inside position a half second earlier than you would against anyone else. Boston fed off that presence. When Esposito stood in front of the crease, the Bruins played with a confidence that could tilt an entire building. Number 3, Bryan, Trottier, balance. When people talk about the New York Islanders dynasty, they often start with the big moments that define their championships, but when you face them night after night, you realize very quickly that Bryan Trottier was the engine that kept that entire machine moving. He was not the loudest player on the ice. He was not the flashiest. He was the one who never broke, and that made him one of the most demanding opponents I ever had to deal with. I said many times that Trottier was the most balanced forward of his era. He could skate, he could hit, he could score, he could defend. He never cheated for offense, and he never panicked under pressure. If you gave him too much space, he drove the play with power. If you closed the lane, he shifted into a support role and found someone else. He played the game with a maturity that made every matchup against him feel like a test of discipline rather than strength. What made him difficult for a defenseman was how quickly he processed the game. There were no wasted touches, no reckless decisions. When he entered the zone, you could sense the structure behind everything he did. He did not rely on speed alone. He used timing. He used angles. He understood how to pull a defenseman one step off their route and create an opening for a teammate. You had to be careful with him because he could turn a small mistake into a scoring chance before you understood what had happened. Montreal faced the Islanders many times during the years when both teams were fighting for control of the league. Those games were tight, physical, and full of tension. In the middle of all that intensity, Trottier stayed calm. He matched our pressure and often dictated the tempo. You could hit him hard. You could take away his first option. He still found a way to influence the shift. That kind of presence leaves a mark on you because, you cannot break him. You can only survive him. I admired Trottier because he represented the complete forward. He reminded me that greatness is not always loud. Sometimes it is the player who understands every part of the game and refuses to give you anything for free. Whenever I think of the toughest opponents I faced, his name rises quickly. He demanded my full attention every time he stepped on the ice. And that is the highest respect a defenseman can give. Number two, Denis Potvin, standard. When I think about the players who pushed me the hardest, Denis Potvin stands near the top without hesitation. He was the one defenseman in my era who made me feel that if I relaxed even once, even for a single shift, he would take the spotlight away and raise the bar for all of us. People talk about the Montreal Canadiens and New York Islanders rivalry, but for me it was also a personal measurement. Potvin played the game with the same seriousness and commitment that I built my career on. And that created a silent competition between us every time our teams met. I said often in interviews that Potvin forced every defenseman in the league to be better. He could skate with power. He could move the puck with vision. He could defend with intelligence. He had the physical strength to win battles and the finesse to turn a defensive stop into an offensive attack. When you watched him, you realize quickly that he was not simply reacting to the game. He was shaping it. That is a rare quality, and it shows up only in players who understand the full weight of their role. What made Potvin such a challenge was how complete he was. If you pressured him high in the zone, he found the safe outlet. If you backed off, he advanced the play with confidence. If you tried to intimidate him physically, he met you with equal force. There was no clear weakness to exploit. You had to defend him with patience because he punished overcommitment. You had to play with perfect balance because he could switch pace instantly and control the flow of the shift. Facing the Islanders during their championship years was a test of pride. They were deep. They were structured. They were relentless. And Potvin was the backbone of all of it. The way he carried himself reminded me that a defenseman's job is not about moments. It is about standards. You stay sharp because someone else out there is staying sharper. You stay disciplined because someone else out there is matching your discipline stride for stride. I admired Potvin because he took the position seriously. He treated every shift like a responsibility. Watching him, studying him, and competing against him made me work harder. He kept the entire league honest. And for a defenseman who valued consistency as much as I did, that kind of opponent becomes unforgettable. Number one, Bobby Orr, Revolution. There is no debate in my mind about the greatest player I ever faced. It was Bobby Orr. Every era has dominant skaters and elite talents. But Orr lived on a different level. The first time I played against him, I understood immediately that I was dealing with something the sport had not seen before. He changed the way defensemen thought. He changed the way forwards attacked. He changed the way the entire rink seemed to move, and everyone who played against him felt it. I said throughout my career that Orr did not just play defense. He played the entire game. He attacked with the speed of a winger, handled the puck like a center, and defended with instincts that seemed almost impossible to read. The moment he stepped onto the ice, the environment shifted. Space opened where it should have been closed. Passing lanes appeared where you thought you had coverage. He did things that forced you to rethink what you believed the position could be. The challenge with Orr was not just stopping him, it was surviving the pace he created. When he picked up the puck in his own zone, you had to brace yourself. One stride and he was already accelerating. 2 strides and he was at full flight. By the time he crossed the blue line, you were already behind if your timing was not perfect. He forced defensemen to skate harder and think faster. He punished hesitation. He punished poor angles. He punished anything less than total awareness. What impressed me most was how complete he remained despite the chaos he created. Many players who attack with that kind of freedom lose structure. Orr never did. He knew exactly when to join the rush and when to anchor the back end. He understood the rhythm of the game better than anyone. When he defended with purpose. When he attacked with intent. You could not predict him. You could only react and hope your instincts were sharp enough to match his creativity. I admired Orr because he changed the standard for every defenseman who came after him. He made the position bigger and faster and smarter. Facing him taught me humility. It taught me respect. And it taught me that true greatness does not just win games. It changes the sport itself. That is why his name will always stand at the top of my list. When I look back on my career, these 5 names stand out because they shaped the way I competed. Stan Mikita sharpened my mind. Phil Esposito taught me how to manage pressure in the crease. Bryan Trottier showed me the value of balance in every situation. Denis Potvin pushed me to keep my standards high. And Bobby Orr reminded me that greatness can change the entire direction of a sport. They were very different players, but they shared one quality that mattered more than anything. They made you better whether you wanted it or not. Admiration in hockey is not about friendship. It is about the players who leave a mark on you because they forced you to evolve. Every shift against them was a challenge. Every mistake against them carried a cost. And every battle with them taught me something I carried forward for the rest of my life. Hockey is built on that kind of competition. It is built on men who make each other sharper. That is why these 5 remain unforgettable to me. Now, I ask you a simple question. Who are the players you admired the most when you watched the game?